Since the Second World War, never an immigration policy has been so blatant, so inhuman against defenseless immigrants seeking refuge in the United States. But despite the dehumanizing condition, this should not have come as a surprise to anyone, because Donald Trump's hatred against vulnerable people in their countries of origin is nothing new. Just recently, he dubbed Haitians and other immigrants from Africa as rats from shithole countries. He said that all Mexicans are drug dealers. He ordered Jeff Sessions, his Attorney General, to declare open season on young black males in order to reinforce even more a policy of mass incarceration. 2 weeks ago, Sessions announced a new immigration policy under which anyone caught trying to enter the country illegally will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and their children will be separated from them. Immigration lawyers and activists quickly denounced the move, which was clearly aimed at Central American migrants fleeing violence in their native countries. According to latest estimates, more than 2,000 children have already been separated from their mothers and are currently held in adult detention centers throughout Texas with very little hope of being reunited with their parents, at least not anytime soon. We were told by the news media that Brownsville and McAllen, Texas, are the two known towns where these children are believed to have been held. Another concentration camp is set to be opened in Houston, according to NBC News last night. Blurry footages of the incarcerated children have been shown on TV. It appeared that they were being held incommunicado in what appeared to be white boxes where they usually cage animals. You can imagine the psychological blow these children will suffer, because since their birth, they have never been forcefully separated from their parents. You can also imagine the humiliation as these parents will watch hopelessly as their children being snatched away from them. When Jeff Sessions announced the shameful policy, the corporate media only offer lip service to the victims, because in the world of soundbite and overcomplicated algorithm that drive competition, refugees in caravan do not deserve front page attention. They were too busy talking about Trump Kim Jong-un summit in Singapore and billion-dollar trade wars between Trump and his European allies plus China. Ironically, Jeff Sessions, not too long ago, was declared a honest victim of his fake and protracted war of words with Trump over the Russia saga. But this has provided cover for Sessions, a zealous executioner, to hotly implement Trump's racist campaign promises to roll back all democratic gains over the last 50 years. What a hypocrisy. The same corporate media is now ringing the alarm bell against Sessions, as if they didn't know who he was a few weeks ago. But for the purpose of education, it's important to explain why so many men, women, and children left their homes in Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Guatemala, fleeing violence, to walk more than 2,000 miles in order to reach the US border. They didn't just get up one day and decide to walk through snake-infested jungles, up lane valleys, hazy desert lanes, to seek refuge elsewhere. But if you interview them, you will find the same story. We're running away from drug violence and the constant threat of death. One wonders Where do these weapons come from? During the 1980s and early 90s, Central America was ravaged by civil wars, particularly in Nicaragua, El Salvador, and Guatemala. These wars were fought along ideological lines. They were revolutionary wars, pitting Marxist revolutionary movements against right-wing governments sponsored by the United States. In 1979, the Nicaraguan Sandinista Front overthrew the fascist regime of Anastasio Somoza, but they were quickly met by a counter-revolution war financed by the US. It was bloody, and as the then Reagan administration wanted to make sure the revolution failed. Remember the Iran-Contra scandal? In El Salvador, the war was as bloody as in Nicaragua, where the Farabundo Martí Front was locked in a vicious revolutionary war that left thousands dead and over 1 million people internally displaced. In Guatemala, the civil war there lasted close to 50 years, where the indigenous population was under constant threat of extermination. Rigoberta Menchú, Nobel laureate and indigenous Mayan, is the most prominent figure in the struggle to save the Mayan Indian from death squad paramilitaries terrorizing the countryside of Guatemala. But still, thousands of Guatemalan Mayan Indians were killed or forced out of their lands. When these wars were finally over, the weapons did not disappear. So was the poverty that triggered the conflicts to begin with. So it is fair to say that the United States is in part responsible for the tragedy, if not a travesty. But if you're looking for the root cause of the problem, don't look to the corporate media. You'll never find an answer for it. Meanwhile, hundreds of girls are reported missing in one of the biggest cases of state-sponsored child abuse in the US history. So it is time to unite to denounce these latest assault on vulnerable people in order to defend our children and our defenseless migrants from Central America.